Hello and welcome to the Crumbo and Slumbo Podcast, or automotive podcast, should I say, with myself, John Slumbers, and my good illustrious friend, Mr. Tom, the Crummy Beard.
That is me. That is me. It's been a while since the first one. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right. I've been very busy. I did something silly at work. I tried to insert my truck in another truck.
I see.
Didn't.
And yes, well, you need to ask permission before you do that sort of thing.
Yes. It didn't make me very popular. I felt
No,
terrible, and it cost a lot of money to fix. But I basically broke the windscreen and the front panel, cracked the plastic. The windscreen wasn't that expensive, but the front panel was a fortune. So
ouch, ouch, ouch. Well, while we're cracking beers open, we're doing this for once on a Friday after work, so it's beer time. We obligatory don't drink and drive mention, but if you're not driving, which we're not, we get to crack
oh,
open a beer.
is that London Black you got there?
This is
Oh,
Anspach and Hobday's London Black.
ooh, great beer.
I think it might be my last can of it, if I'm honest, but yes, it is a very, very nice Guinness alternative. So it's going in a Guinness glass just to confuse people.
I've got Koenig's Gold, which I've never had before. It says it's made in Germany and it's brewed under the German purity law. And I checked to make sure it actually is brewed in Germany because you can't believe anything that you read on a beer can anymore.
That's
And
true.
and it is legitimately the Germans. And it's got me because it's got an eagle on it. And you know, normally I'd be drinking something like the Mountain Dew Freedom Fusion. That's good, but
One whole blended Bold Eagle in every can.
exactly, hell yeah, brother. Um, so this is very nice, Crummy, and I've got my old school Hofmeister Follow the Bear tankard.
Yeah, I went for the traditional hard Guinness pour, and it's gone a little bit OTT. So that's a bit foamy, but never mind. It will settle down, I'm sure. Um, do we get on with this?
Yeah, we've
This
got a
inevitable. Well, it's a funny turn of events, really, because in the first and last episode, the only episode prior to this one,
mm,
we finished it off saying that we were going to talk about the car I'd just bought, but we kind of ran out of time. So we gave people a few clues as to what it might be and asked them to guess. I haven't, in all honesty, checked if anyone guessed anything, if indeed it was correct, because it's on your channel, so I don't get those
no.
notifications.
It got buried by YouTube for some reason. I don't know what we did or
Fair
said
play.
wrong,
All
but
right. Well, if they buried that one, they're probably definitely going to bury this one.
mm,
Um, anyway, yes, we said we were going to reveal it on this episode, which just so happens to coincide with a week where the brand of said car has received some attention. I think it's fair to say. Um, shall we do the good news bit first of what the car is, and then talk about the yes
yes,
the
absolutely,
impending doom. So,
yes.
grand reveal: the car that I have just purchased, which looks far nicer than it cost, especially in these photos I'm about to show you because I had it detailed, is, and I think you've probably guessed part of the way there by now. If not, you were about to. It is indeed a Jaguar F-Type, which I am very, very pleased with. It is monstrous. It's not the V8, it's the V6 because allegedly they're slightly more sporty rather than muscle cars in the V6 format. Yes, it's not as quick. It's still blindingly fast. So anymore, I'd probably just put it in a ditch by now. But it is a lovely, lovely thing. It is the big V6. It's the 380. Four-wheel drive, which is good because it's got snow on the floor right now here at home. And yeah, I don't really know what more to say about it. I'm trying to look underneath my camera for my mouse so I can click through two other images. There you
Oh,
go. There's a
oh,
front little portion and another back portion. I've noticed I take nothing but rear end photos of that car because that rear end is yeah.
oh. It's. I might have to just go and. Um, it is stunning, and as somebody that was a massive E-Type fan, the fact that the styling cues are so close to the E-Type, the rear lights match the shape of the rear lights of the E-Type.
They certainly do.
It's the shape, the big rear arch that sits up higher than the front, The nose, the way it's got like the fish mouth on the front, the eyes, everything about it. I don't think that honestly don't think there's a bad angle to look at that car.
No, there's not. It's sometimes harder to photograph from the front. I'm also going to say. I think it's just because it is got that. I don't know. I feel like the side profile really is where it does its best work. But I apparently didn't take a good picture off the side of it. But yeah, it's.
I like the porter cabin best of all.
Indeed, yeah. That was on a farm, incidentally. But anyway, story for another time. Yes, it is a lovely thing, and I'm very pleased with it. And I never considered myself a big Jag fan, with the exception of a few key cars, and they being the E-types, F-types, XKRs.
XJ220 was an awesome bit of kit.
Yeah, XJ220 is a few handful, but I'm not nuts on the brand, but I do like a few of them. I think it's probably because when I was growing up, it was that awful kind of S-type era. Was it? Were they called S-types?
Yeah, S-type, where they were Rover 75 kind of.
You got it.
Yeah. They were trying to market it to people like my dad.
Yeah, it was that era, so there was just a bit. They all felt a bit fusty. So, yeah, I didn't have that connection with the brand growing up, and as a result,
But they were all doing it at the time. You had Chrysler like pumping out the PT Cruiser faster than they could make any cars. You had the Beetle had come out, and they were making the first new Beetle, which actually I've still got a soft spot for one of them. I would love a 1.8T version and just map the living daylights out of it, have an anti-lag map on it. It would be awesome. I wouldn't have a flower though.
No, but you could replace that with something interesting.
A bald eagle. That would be the right thing to do.
I think if you start putting emblems of eagles on German cars, you might have gone a bit too far.
Well, I think they still have it. Don't the Luftwaffe still have an eagle?
I don't know. I do not.
I'm sure they do. They have it. They still have because the eagle was around before the
thing. Yeah.
So, F-type. I'm gonna, because I was going off on a tangent there. You'll be proud of me, Tom. I stopped myself, and we're coming back to Jaguar. That I think, on the whole, for me, so Jags I've always thought are pretty cars, but I have a weird taste in cars. So sometimes I have to pinch myself and just check that what I see other people like. Lydia hates Jaguars. She's just hates. She hated my I had the E-Class before the 212, the one with the round headlights. She's got this thing.
E-type.
No, not so the E-Class Mercedes.
Oh God, sorry. I thought we were talking about Jaguars.
No. I'm doing a dual thing. So that had round headlights, and it was like a really young designer that drew it.
Yeah.
And then the Jag, because I had an X-type when I first sort of got to know loads. 2.5 all-wheel drive Mondeo in drag, British Racing Green. That thing was quick. Like, it didn't accelerate fast. It was no slouch, but it would go all the way. Like, on the motorway, it'd just keep climbing all the way until it ran out of top speed. And she just hated it. She hates that bonnet with 4 headlights. If the bonnet is the same shape as the headlights, she seems to hate it.
Right.
So we kind of went away from ever having a Jag. I convinced her with this Mercedes that it didn't really look like that. But Jaguars are not her thing. Now, I like them. But there's also, Tom, this worry. I think you have to be brave to own a Jag.
All stupid, and I'll fall into that second category, but go on.
Well, you've had Italian cars, so I feel like I've never owned an Alfa Romeo.
Okay.
Because I've never been brave enough to buy one.
Yeah, there is. I probably wouldn't have choose any of those brands if I was doing 10,000 miles a year plus up and down motorways frequently in them. Let me put it that way.
And that's the thing. I really like that style. I'd love to have a big old long wheelbase. You know the later one with the TDV6 in it, XJ.
Oh yeah,
The last of those is just such a good looking car. But I'm just not brave enough to buy one.
yeah. I know. I'm with you, especially that Rover era. I feel like the JLR era is a bit different in that they're still unreliable, but for different reasons. It's just because the electronics go boom.
It's true. So, but we can agree that they make beautiful cars. As I understand,
We agree that they can. They don't always.
well,
The
what's
i the I-Pace is not a good looking car. So
no, that's true. It looks like somebody cut the back off it with
yeah,
like a wedge of cheese.
yeah. It's a sandwich box.
Well, one of the most offensive cars for me that put me off EV drivers was an I-Pace, and it had on the back, "I drive a zero emissions car" on the back, and I was just like, oh well, I'm a terrible human. I must drive my car immediately into a ditch because it's diesel. You know what I mean? It was just like virtue signaling on another
Yeah.
level. But do you remember the guys that used to go down letting people's tyres down? With
Yes. Sorry.
you
Yeah. I
using
recall
lentils.
using lentils.
I
How?
think they, because there was a spat of that going around our area, and I think that they put that on because people were letting the tyres down on it.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, that could well be it. That could well be it.
So
So there's always two sides to these things,
there
which is
is.
going to be probably a common theme through this next thread.
Mm,
I suspect. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, just because someone's done that doesn't mean they're talking to you. They might be targeting the opposite person, and you didn't quite realize, which is interesting. So, you've had some thoughts on what's happening with Jaguar and their rebrand that got launched this week. Do you want to summarize very briefly where you're at now after having spoken your thoughts and had a few more days to digest it, and then I will react as a current Jaguar owner to what is going on.
okay. So initially, I saw the Jaguar branding and advert and thought, hang on a minute, this is horrendous. Have they not learned from the likes of Bud Light when they put Dylan Mulvaney on a can of Bud Light and had not read the room and realised who the people are that buy their product? It kind of reminds me of a Disney film flops where it was like trying to make a point. It was all very woke, and I just thought, given the political backlash in America, that maybe the marketing team had to think about it, because basically out there they're not even selling 1% of the market share of cars. They've got this electric product. Maybe they can market it to the more liberal people, because some Tesla owners will be upset now because Elon Musk obviously helped Trump. So I thought, well, maybe they're giving them an out. And I thought, well, that would make sense. But then I kind of sat on it and I just thought, could this actually be like an epic hoax, and that it's just designed to get all eyes on Jaguar? And I kind of went down that line, and I'm now as unsure about it as I was the first time I saw it. I just don't know either
Okay.
way which way it would go. But the amount of attention they've had is, if you come out at the end of this and actually Elon Musk reveals the car, or somebody like him, I don't know, like Vance, drives the next Jag off the platform at Miami, and it was all a big prank. That is possibly the most incredible thing you could ever do.
That would be, I mean, that would be a thing for sure. That would definitely get people talking about them. So, my reaction to it was, I was immediately offended by it, but for an entirely different set of reasons.
Yeah, go on.
Because I saw the logo first, and I thought, when did they start selling boutique fridges? Was my first thought. You know, the little colourful ones. Yeah, I don't know.
The Smeg ones.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my initial thought. I was like, well, I mean, I guess fridges are electric, and they're saying they're going all electric, so maybe it makes sense in some weird way. But you know, I was offended on a pure design aesthetic over the logo. They've kept the leaper, change direction, which is meant to signify them changing direction. Yeah, very clever.
Oh, right, okay. But it depends on what side of the bonnet you stand if it was on the front.
Indeed. But the main logo itself, yeah, it just looks like a fridge brand or some knockoff tech equipment, or I don't know what it's not. It doesn't scream luxury motor vehicle anyway. That I think we can agree with. And then I can't remember what they called it now. You know, the stamp, the circle ornament, basically what would end up on the front of the car.
Yeah, the red with the Jag head in it.
What's on the current ones, yes, but the new version is two J's on opposing sides. So whichever way you look at it, it looks like JR.
That's made out of wood.
I can't work out, do they really think that because they start with a J and end in an R, that's a good idea? Because otherwise it just says junior, right? Which is weird. It would have made more sense if they'd made it the parent company and had it as JLR, because it's too close to that to be on its own. Like, it doesn't make any sense, really. And it's also, I don't want to say it's a purely lazy logo, because just because it's simple doesn't mean that it didn't take a lot to get it to the point where it felt balanced. But even it just doesn't. Yeah, it's just not vibing. It just feels a bit lame at this point. They could do something with it, because we've already seen it etched into wood at this point, which is interesting as well.
Somebody told me, sorry, I watched the video. I could not find the person that did the video. I don't know if they've taken it down, but they were like somebody that does with rebrands and marketing. And he had an issue with the fact that it was geometrically something or other balanced. But the problem is that the A's, with them being lowercase, tend to look smaller, and you would normally enlarge them slightly to make it look right, and they haven't done that. And he said it looked like a A-level.
100%.
Yeah, an A-level college.
Part of my job is approving design concepts, and I would have thrown that out. So, not to say that I'm always right, of course, but I wouldn't have been best pleased if someone had come with that as a redesign for the brand. But anyway, so primary offense purely on an design aesthetic level. Saw the video, and it was pointless, I think, is the word that kind of initially came to mind. So, look, if you were to be persuaded to feel like you do, and it was picking some sort of geopolitical side, all right, then you've annoyed a load of people. Okay, you might have enthralled some others, maybe. I'm not seeing anyone really happy about it, by the way. But if that's not your intent, and I think it might not have been, there's a few reasons for this. One state of mind says the people that are annoyed by it, it's Jaguar explicitly telling you this brand is not for you, which works quite well with their new ethos of we're going super deluxe, super premium. So,
like hypercar premium. Are we going that end?
We think, well, I think high-end Bentley, higher-end Aston Martin touching towards Rolls-Royce territory
Ooh, okay.
is where I think we're going, or I think they think they're going. So on one hand, it does a job of saying, look, if you don't like this, it's not for you anyway.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter. And that's fine if that's what they want to do. We can discuss for a long time whether it's a good decision or not. But anyway, the other bit that makes me think it wasn't purposefully antagonistic and pandering to an agenda was if they are targeting the super elites, the super wealthy,
Mm.
what that video actually reminded me of was like London Fashion Week,
Yeah.
where they purposely choose striking looking people, put them in clothes that don't quite feel comfortable, make them question, makes people question what they're seeing, a little bit of shock tactics in there. You see where I'm going?
Yeah, I
And
can see
obviously,
that.
and that would also, again, loops in quite nicely with the super elite. London Fashion Week isn't for me and you, right?
Heck yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, I don't know. They quite like if they like rally cars.
but you know what I mean? I think just assuming it's pandering to a political side is not impossible, but I think it's definitely not the only explanation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't forget. I think the problem might be that is what they're trying to do. That sounds like what they're trying to do. But the problem we've had is there has been a constructive destruction of brands that are predominantly seen as maybe right wing or of average white male with a beard kind of brand. So when I go down, I'm just
Any particular examples?
so I would say like the tractor company in America, uh, that that went super mad on
All right,
many
I'm not
fronts.
familiar with that one, but
No,
okay.
we didn't hear about it over here because it's not a brand that we get over here. But that was a classic one. Obviously, the Bud Light thing in America, that's a classic misstep. Then the Disney one, I think Disney's more aimed at kids, but then you end up upsetting the parents. Sesame Street, um, like The View, isn't really a brand, but if you think about it, it wasn't that long ago that Whoopi and all those girls were loving Trump being on The View, and now they all hate him. So I think there's this degradation. It's a big word for
Uh,
a Friday after 2 beers.
Degradation,
That's the one. Same as electric car batteries. Um,
indeed.
there's this kind of tearing down of brands. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think actually you need to do that over time. You've got to reinvent yourself, but like there's some things that you just leave alone, like Coca-Cola. Look what happened with New Coke. It was an absolute disaster. But
Yeah.
Pepsi on the other hand, have rebranded constantly and been able to nail it pretty much every time.
Mm.
So it's finding the brands that you can do it with and the brands that you can't do with it. You don't want to alienate people either way, and so I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I just think that the reaction is, oh, another brand that we kind of loved that it's been around a long time, and it's been bastardized into sending
Yeah,
a message of, oh yeah, we're inclusive, oh yeah, and I don't think anybody like, I don't care. I honestly don't care what you are. I will treat you the same. There's no difference. But well, you've seen it firsthand, Tom, so you know what I'm like.
I
Um,
do know what you like.
I,
Yeah, and
I'll be
yeah,
mean to all of you. Um,
it's true. It's true.
but the problem is, I think when you take a brand like Jaguar that is so in ground, I think they just missed the mark. They didn't realise that because the sales were down, they thought that everybody had fallen out of love with the brand.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no way, there's no getting around the fact they either had to shut shop or drastically change because they just weren't able to compete against the Germans in that space, right?
Yeah.
That's basically it. So I think they decided let's try for a massive change. It might fail, but yeah, we won't know until it's all revealed because it's all still very secretive at the minute.
What do you think of the Twitter comments? They're
Oh
this
yeah,
is the first brushstroke. This is a declaration. All that old swanny.
it feels very intentional, like they knew what the reaction was going to be.
Mm. Would that indicate a prank though?
Not necessarily. See, I think we could be going down the steps of being misled, but not to the degree that you're talking about, because it's very easy to intertwine this with the whole what's the word I'm looking for? Counterculture slash the Tesla Elon Musk idea and all of that stuff, because we've just had that election, right? So everything's very fresh on that front and feels that way. That marketing campaign has been in the works for at least 6 months, if not a year, if not 18 months, right? Those things take a long time to do in a corporate environment of that size.
Yeah.
And so I don't see the Elon Musk thing in particular being a factor in it.
Okay.
But the way they're behaving in their replies does make me think they are trying to create a viral campaign, get people talking about them, so that when they actually show you something, people are willing to talk about it. And then if it's not as bad as everyone thought, there'll be a great positive reaction, and you
Yeah.
set people on the hype for that.
And I think that's great. If they go down that route and it was just like, yeah, we just wanted to show it's not for poor people, then I would I would be like, yeah, I'm up for that.
I think that is the main
Push.
twist of it. If I'm honest, I think that's the crux of it.
I
This is
just
we
think the
are
logo
not
though is
we're not
shocking.
you're not going to see us on your high street every day. This is not your high street. This is Sloane Street now. That's the
Yeah.
you know that's I think where they're going. But yeah, time will tell. However, little Chrissy Harris
Yes.
of Top Gear fame.
Yeah.
Have you seen this already?
No.
No. All right. Off the back of this campaign, he did a bit of digging. I think he was as probably curious as the rest of us as to where this was leading and what the real deal was. And he went on a bit of a deep dive into their Instagram account. And he posted on his Instagram the following. He says the Jaguar Instagram account is being talked about quite a lot. Between the 6th of June and the 28th of June this year, it allegedly gained 140,000 followers per day. Before and after those dates, there's not a lot going on. Can someone please explain how that works? Now, I think he knows how that works and he's just being facetious and asking the question. The implication there, or at least as I read it, the implication was that they are buying followers for their Instagram account.
Which I wanted to do a video on this, but I just didn't want to grenade my own account. Although I have been shadow banned several times. You can buy likes, subs, whatever for your account very easily. Now we're both small creators, and we work quite hard. Well, you work harder than I do, by a long way. Tom's production.
Sometimes.
Well, just look at our cameras. Tom's looks really
Yeah,
good.
that's not working.
Mine's
That's not
kind of
working hard. That's just spending too much money on a camera. That's
but basically, we've been. Well, when did I start? I kind of really pushed this hard in lockdown, so 21. It had been open before that, but I didn't really do anything with it. I think we did a couple of videos, me and my mate. You've kind of pushed uber hard, haven't you?
We try.
Yeah, and if you look at our figures, our viewing figures, although I don't know what goes on with my account, I cannot work it out. Like I get a video that does 6.9 thousand views, the next day I can't muster up 200 on the same subject.
That is YouTube.
That is YouTube. But this is a reflection between the pair of us of what really normal accounts do.
Yeah.
Unless you've got something that's like ultra everybody wants.
Yes, absolutely.
And as we well know, Jaguar doing sales at 0.02% of market share in America tells me that they're not in that bracket.
No, definitely not. Would you like to know the total amount of followers that they gained through that period? Because I think this puts it into a better perspective. So this is going on a per monthly basis now, rather than daily. Over that month of June this year, they gained 3.2 million followers.
Wow.
Yeah. And to put that into perspective, typically per month, they either went plus or minus 50,000 in that range. The fact that they were frequently losing up to 50,000 followers and then gaining 50,000 followers suggests some very suspicious antics. But
let's face it, the Brits are good at sneaky.
But do you want to add anything else to our Jaguar bashing before I bring in some good Jaguar news?
Well, there was one other thing that I heard on the grapevine from somebody today was something to do with the marketing manager or CEO or whatever hiding behind, like he was hiding. So I don't know what that means. Whether they were saying it literally like he was hiding behind a lectern or on a press release, or whether he's not, he or her, or they, them, or whatever they want to call themselves.
You're obsessed. You're obsessed.
Whether they just haven't commented, which might be part of the plan. I honestly think that's part of the plan. I actually, like, genuinely really want them to do well off the back of this.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I do
would love Jaguar to be a world-leading brand again. That'd be fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Like, so, because there were a few comments that were like, oh, blooming middle-aged men are the only ones that, what was it? Middle-aged straight white men are getting so upset. I was like, I don't understand what white's got to do with it. Like, yes, middle-aged men with beards. I'm very, very upset. It's true. I gave him a heart for it because I was like, yeah, I do agree, but I don't understand why the colour of his skin's got anything to do with it.
It all feels very much. We've got to remember, people hate change. That's like an innate human condition. People, and some people more than others, just hate change. And when they don't understand what they're seeing, which Jaguar are purposefully doing, it's purposefully confusing, it's purposefully out there, that reaction is not only to be expected, but almost certainly planned. It's got to be.
I think 100%. I really hope that the JR logo thing isn't staying.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's crap. That looks terrible. I can live with the Jaguar fridge brand. And I can live with the cat being the wrong way around.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that JR thing wants to go in the bin. I mean, the first thing I'd do if I bought one of them is take it off everywhere. I'd say, look, I'll buy the car, but I want that removing. Put the proper Jag badge on it.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole market for rebranding new Jaguars, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For the old stuff.
I can just see the Chinese now buying old badges off eBay.
Yeah.
And waiting. I don't blame it. It's like, do you remember when you used to be able to buy a Vauxhall and then you could get an Opel grille? Put it on your Vauxhall.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It
I
is
think
the same
that's.
thing.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I think I need to Loctite my emblems down, otherwise they're going to be hot black market property soon.
I'm just going to get another beer. Keep
That's all right.
talking.
I'll keep talking.
It's
Well,
Friday, people. If you're watching this on a Monday, I'm really sorry. This is.
there is, before we get into, well, we're going to segue into slightly better news.
Yeah, go for
One
it.
of the more damning reasons for believing that this whole
Yes, I am wearing
artsy
Cookie
fartsy
Monster.
branding concept might not be the true intent is the spy shots of their test mule, which I'm going to bring up right now, if my mouse will work. The test mule, let me just get it. Oh, the mouse does not work well on this table.
Yes.
That does not, to me, look like a just a. I don't know what to describe, but you'd expect soft lines, more elegance, more. That looks like a brute.
Yes.
That looks like an insane powered. I mean, it's going to be we know it's going to be a 4-door GT, which means it's bigger than a Bentley Continental. We've got one other shot of it from the side.
The size of the discs at the front with the big fat Brembos.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be bits of car sticking out on there that aren't real because they're fake panels and whatever else.
Fake mirrors.
But it just categorically does not scream this is a hyper environmentally focused EV, does it?
No.
Also, that's not aerodynamic enough to be an EV. Is it?
No.
Really?
No.
That looks. I mean, they could make it, but the range is going to be not great if that really is the true shape. And I would like to point your attention to the front of this car. So, if we just scroll down here. Now, that main grille looks like it's stuck on because you can see some of the camo wrap behind, right?
Yeah.
So, I suspect that isn't a real grille. And that could just be smoothed over, which would point to it being an EV.
Yeah.
Because if that was a nice engine, it'd need a proper grille. But it's definitely not real. It's just looks a bit suspicious.
Yeah.
The bit I have a real problem with, if this was an EV, why would you need 4 massive scoop holes at the bottom with a big net over the front of them?
Yes, I had a little look at this and I thought the same thing. You can see there's some parking sensors above the thing. I can't think of a solid reason why you'd need that much cooling.
No, I mean, you could go, oh, it's underfloor aero, but this is a 4-door GT car.
There's one other problem I have with it, which is the rear space looks tiny. So if you look at that side profile,
let's go to the side.
So the Chinese market, if you loves and values the car by the amount of space in the rear of the car.
Yeah,
and that's quite a small.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell for sure, but it looks like the door. Can you see my cursor on the screen?
Yeah.
I reckon the back door at the very largest finishes here.
Yeah.
Right, and it might even cut in here. It's hard to tell, but let's say it finishes here and it's flush to the rear of the car. It's not massive compared to the front.
No, and that's a weird thing. So is this more like the Panamera? Not the Panamera. Well, it could be like Panamera.
It could be like a Panamera.
Yeah, or the what's the new Taycan that looks like an estate car? That's quite a good looking thing. Is it called?
Is it not just another Taycan?
Taycan Estate or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It looks like that to me.
It does. That front end is so boxy though for an EV.
It's massive.
Then again, the new Renault 5 is a box, so maybe we're overthinking this. But yeah, I don't know. It does look like that could be a charge port here. that line, so it may definitely still could
It's
be.
huge.
They say they're going all EV. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
See,
know.
the other thing that's interesting is the high door line would tell me that this is predominantly for the American market, because there was a change in crash test regulations in America, and you'll see it as early as 2005, 2004, where the actual side of the door has to be a lot higher and the glass has
Right.
to be minimised, unless the vehicle is higher. And so you end up with these very cool looking, big bodied, low windowed cars, which is, I don't think it's a bad thing. Or you do what they did with the E Class and then you just jack up the back of the car so it's unnecessarily high,
Yeah.
which is what mine has. You make the car just a bit taller and then you'll pass those safety regs. It's got that vibe about it. So I feel like this is probably pushing into the American market, which would be the bigger market.
Yeah, it would. I think they're trying to target US, US and Asia emerging high wealth markets.
Yeah, I think for China, rear seats are too small, or it certainly looks the rear
Yeah,
end.
it's hard to tell. It could be an absolute barge and they're massive. It's just everything else is really big. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
or it could be that that is just a test mule and it's a short wheelbase.
it could, yeah, also true. But yes, it doesn't scream what the ad campaign screams anyway, in
Look at
any
the
event.
size of the pillars inside as well. They're
Yeah,
huge.
massive things.
It does look cool
Massive,
though.
massive
I've got to
things.
say, I like the I like the look of it.
Yeah, oh yeah. It looks absolutely what you want from a premium company doing big, slightly extravagant cars.
The mirrors look like they've come off an X-Type.
They probably have. They probably have. Would you like some? Shall we go some even better petrol head Jaguar news?
Go for it.
Have you seen this?
That's an XJS that looks like it's gone back to 1980 and had Dimmer do a body kit.
It was an XJS. It's from, I think it's TWR. I'm now squinting to read my screen. I'm pretty sure it's TWR, who were the company responsible for giving the XJS a 24 hours of Spa win many years ago.
I've got a very interesting story about TWR and Jaguar, but
Okay, that's good.
tell you in a minute.
But I'll run you through a quick few specs. So this is an XJS V12 from the 80s, but it has been redone so that it has a 5.6 litre supercharged V12. It revs to 7,750 RPM.
A V12?
Yeah, a V12 that going nearly 8K. It produces 651 horsepower, which, okay, by some modern standards isn't great, but obviously it's not battery assisted, which most modern high power things are. So it sounds, it will still kill you, so it's fine. 538 feet-pound of torque, pound-feet of torque, whichever way around it is. And cost-wise, what do you think? Resto mods are notoriously overpriced. I'll show you a few more snaps.
Oh wow! Look at that. That is
Look at it.
flipping gorgeous.
It does look.
Oh, I love the XJS. What a car!
Yeah, and the interior is
Oh
beautiful.
wow!
One thing I forgot to mention: 6-speed manual.
Yes. That's got to be $1 million. Is it a one-off? Is there no others?
No, there you can buy one, and unless the article in which I found this is talking absolute
Balls.
twaddle,
Yeah.
$250,000 dollars.
What? Is that it?
That's what it said.
Oh, that's way too cheap.
I know, it felt wrong. I was like, have you missed a one off the front? Sorry. Or a naught off the end? Like, yeah, I couldn't believe that because resto mods are normally wild.
That's a bargain. I'm going to
Yeah,
go and order one now.
It's got a digital screen in the front, which I think everyone would have preferred dials, but I guess it lets you do more things. But yeah, I mean,
Wow.
just look at it. Just look at that.
So, I've got a fun story. So, Tom Walkinshaw Racing was down in Worthing for a long time. They took
Okay.
over Daew's test centre when Daewoo went bust. And I was talking to a friend of mine who used to be a mechanic for the BMW touring cars before they were factory run. So we're talking back in the 70s. And Tom Walkinshaw Racing ran a Jaguar XJS in the touring car. And the sucker kept running out of fuel. And he said to me, and I never knew this, he was like, Tom Walkinshaw Racing is masterful at cheating. Like, he can cheat, or they can cheat better than anybody else in the game. They will read, they have solicitors, they'll look through the rule book, and they'll work out how can we get around things. And that's what makes them so brilliant.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars wouldn't finish the race. They kept running out of fuel. But you had a maximum size fuel tank that you could have. So what they did is they filled the roll cage with fuel.
I have heard this before. Yes.
So they ran, and they got an extra something like 4 or 5 gallons or something crazy out of running fuel through the roll cage, which is incredibly dangerous.
Doesn't feel like the safest move, no.
No. And then another thing that they did, so this gives you another idea. So Volvo entered the British touring car racing, and Tom Walkinshaw Racing did the setup for the car, and they were the people that brought aero into British touring car, and they had a front splitter on the bumper, like the bumper curved down, and it had underbody aero. It was all flat on the bottom, and they said you can't have that. That's not allowed. You're not allowed underbody aero. They said it's not underbody aero. It's an engine mount. Take that off, and the engine will fall out. And they had literally made the belly pan the engine mount. And if you buy a Matchbox or a Hot Wheels 850R flying brick, underneath you can see the belly pan. They've put it on there because of the story.
I'm not being rude. I'm going to double check that cost on the TWR. By the way, it's called the Speed Cat.
The Speed Cat. Oh, I love the name.
Speed Cat is lovely.
See, Jeremy Clarkson. I heard he's not been well. Had a heart attack, didn't
he? Was it a heart attack? He was definitely in hospital for something. I cannot remember.
Yeah, I think he heard what Jag were doing with their advertising.
It says pricing begins at the equivalent of $285,000. Although it should be noted that includes the UK's 20% tax on new vehicles. This is from caranddriver.com.
That's very cheap.
It feels suspiciously. I mean, it's not. It's ridiculously expensive, but
for
what you're getting and how much resto mods normally are, yeah.
Is it because the base product is so cheap?
Yeah, it could. I mean, it could be. It's definitely going to help. Let's put it that way. Definitely going to help. But just the bodywork and the refit on small volume, that niche, that feels. What's it? But I feel like I've been more excited by resto mods in the last year than any car that's been released, which is a state of the times.
See, it is. The only one I quite like is the Renault 5.
Yeah, and the Alpine version.
Yeah.
They do look good. They do look good.
They look very cool and a lot of fun.
There are some very good dailyable cars that, as in, as a generic offering for people to go to work and back who don't really care about cars, they're getting better for sure. But on the enthusiast side, all right, we had the new Well, we've had two of the. Well, we had all three now. No, we're still waiting on Porsche, aren't we? For the third of the new Holy Trinity, the bonkers cars. Ferrari's was received with a mixed bag. Did you see that?
Yeah, nobody. It was a bit
It was
underwhelming.
quite. It was quite muscly. It was quite
Yeah,
sharp. It wasn't the normal Italian flair. It was a bit more. Really weirdly, it looked a bit more like that Speedcat XJS we just looked at. It was quite boxy. But maybe we're just going into a new realm with car design now, because we can't go anymore with sleek, wild aero, and we need to go back to bullish front ends.
What has Hyundai just done?
What have Hyundai just done?
They've made the Santa Fe look like a Lego car.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's great. I saw one the other day and I was like, I really like that. That looks cool.
So there is a bit of that, and of course the Renault 5 follows that as well.
It does.
But yeah, it's an interesting time. But to summarise, I don't think we've been Jaguar bashing today as much as trying to work out what's going on. But unlike some people in some of the Jaguar forums that I'm in, have said this week, I will not be selling my car and not explicitly saying I'll never buy another one, because it's a bit stupid. And I still buy and will use products from brands who might have proven to be purposely trying to go on one side of a particular, political argument. I'm very neutral on politics. I'm that annoying one that nobody likes, because I'm sat here going, I think you're all not very clever.
Yeah.
But look, there's just
I've seen
right?
his MAGA hat.
And I will use products from people that endorse both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
I've got no reason to stop doing that now. So yeah,
I think
maybe severe apathy. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm probably more right. Well, I know I'm more right wing than I am left, but I was always very centrist. But of late, I feel that there's. It's not necessarily a left-right thing. I think it's more of a global thing. So there's a push for less freedom, and I feel like sometimes the left fall into the trap a lot easier, because it's always sold to them on the guise of it being a good thing, and that's what worries me. And I just want people to have the freedom to be whoever they are, and whatever your life is, and whatever your life path chooses to be, then fine.
Yeah, it's we should probably stem this conversation now before we end up in a 6-hour.
Yeah, we could go into a massive debate, but that's what I think. But hey, yes. I really hope that Jag does well off the back of this. I mean, I think they've just literally had the best PR you could ever have.
I'm excited to see what happens. And I think we're going to get a vehicle release next week in Miami or New York.
If you're watching JLR, we'd love an invite. I know I did a video on all your Range Rovers getting stolen and got 80,000 views, and then Mark McCann nicked it and then did a better version. But I'm still friends with you. We'd love to go to Miami. My passport's fine.
You're definitely not on the invite list. I'm slightly worried about my dealer-approved warranty. Yeah, let's not say anything else.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. You can get parts for them. They're like ready, available. Just that. Oh no, that's Volkswagen. No. Sorry. Anyway, this has been the Crumbo and Slumbo podcast. Please listen on whatever platform it is that you're watching or listening on. I tend to put this on Spotify and on YouTube, but I'm looking at using some other platforms. Unfortunately, I used to use Anchor, where I could post it everywhere, but Spotify bought it. So now I don't have anything to post on. I've tried Buzzsprout, but it wants loads of money off me every month.
Yeah, never mind.
We'll get there. So I hope you enjoy this, and if you stuck with us for this nearly 54 minutes and 52 seconds, you can have a Crumbo and Slumbo free hug next time you meet us.
I've just been you've just offered me out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the word I wanted to use because it'll probably get you shadow banned a bit more. But yes, okay. Well, I'll run away from you. I think that's enough.
Yeah, he doesn't like hugs, but I do. I like a hug. You can have a hug.
I'm too warm all of the time. It's winter now. It's -4 outside. I'm verging on sweating sat under this studio light. So, yeah.
Right. Love you all. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Have a good one.